this is the biggest fan I have seen in my life. I think it is a special type of fan. Huh?
Yes, HTLS. High volume, low speed. High volume, low speed.
Achha. High volume, low speed.
HTLS.
Achha. Have any of you seen a fan like this before?
In the past times of Trinavrita.
Huh? Howrah railway station. Achha. Nathadwara also.
Kindly put off your mobile phone. If it is difficult, put it on silent. If there is any emergency, please take your mobile outside this hall and attend to the call. Failing which, there will be a donation. Anybody whose phone rings, there will be a donation to take care of it. How many of you are taking this, please? Everybody seeing the neighbor. So any phone rings, there will be a penalty, which in other words a donation to the temple as well.
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. राधा कृष्ण राधा कृष्ण राधे। जय गौरानिताय जय गौरानिताय जय गौरानिताय जय गौरानिताय। जय जगन्नाथ जय बलदेव जय सुभद्रा जय सुदर्शन। जय जय प्रभुपाद 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 जय जय प्रभुपाद। निताय गौरा हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल निताय गौरा हरि बोल। जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य अष्टोत्तर सत हिज डिवाइन ग्रेस अभय चरणारविंद भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण ललिता विशाखा की जय। श्री श्री गौर निताय की जय। श्री श्री जगन्नाथ बलदेव सुभद्रा मई की जय। ग्रंथराज श्रीमद्भागवतम की जय। श्री वृंदावन धाम की जय। निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे समवेत भक्त वृंद की जय। समवेत भक्त वृंद की जय। समवेत भक्त वृंद की जय। श्री श्री गुरु गौरांग की जय। ओम अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरुं श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगणरघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। नमो महावदायते कृष्णाय कृष्णचैतन्य नाम्ने गुरु च तत्त्वात्मकं कृष्णं भक्तरूपस्वरूपकं भक्तावतारं भक्ताख्यं नमामि भक्तशक्तिकम्। आराध्यो भगवान् व्रजेशतनयस्तद्धाम वृन्दावनम्। रम्या काचिदुपासना व्रजवधू वर्गेण या कल्पिता। श्रीमद्भागवतं प्रमाणममलं प्रेमापुमर्थो महान्। श्रीचैतन्यमहाप्रभोर्मतमिदं तत्रादरः न परः। हे कृष्ण करुणा सिन्धो दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिकान्त राधाकान्त नमोऽस्तुते। तप्तकाञ्चन गौरांगी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. I hope you have all had a very blissful Kartik month with a lot of Krishna conscious activities, and you have experienced a lot of encouragement and advancement in your spiritual life. But Kartik month, as special as it is not the only time that we have to do devotional service. We also have to do it in the remaining 11 months. So Kartik month is like the battery charge, and it should enable us and inspire us and motivate us to do devotional service enthusiastically for the rest of the year also. Today and tomorrow I will be discussing the Brahma Vimohana Lila, which is described in the 13th and 14th chapters of the 10th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam. Brahma Vimohana Lila means that Lila or pastime in which Brahma, the creator of the universe, the secondary creator, the primary creator is of course the Supreme Lord Himself. So in this pastime, Brahma is bewildered, not just ordinarily surprised, but bewildered, not just Mohana but Vimohana. So Brahma is extremely bewildered. And please remember that Brahma is not an ordinary living entity. He is the most important living entity in the entire creation. He is the most intelligent person in the whole universe, apart from the Supreme Lord, of course. He is the first initiated disciple in the universe. He is the first Brahmana in the universe. His spiritual master and father is directly the Supreme Lord, and he performs a task which is impossible for any other jiva to do in this world, in this material universe. What is that? The creation of the universe itself, which means the various planetary systems, and giving suitable bodies to all the living entities, and awarding them places of residence that are appropriate to their karma of the previous lives. So according to what has happened in his previous day, after which there is Brahma as night, and in that time flooded, and then in the morning when Brahma wakes up, he again establishes creation in the lower planets. The higher planets are of course not affected, like Janalok, Tapalok, Maharlok, Satyalok, they are not affected. But the lower planets like the Earth planet are affected. So when the entire night is over and Brahma wakes up, he recreates everything, and then he makes sure that all the living entities who have been lying asleep for the night of Brahma, now they get suitable planets and bodies in which they can continue from where they left off in Brahma's previous day. Also remember, at the time of Brahma's death, after 100 years of his lifetime, his 100 years, not our 100 years, then the entire universe is destroyed. And when a new universe is created, there is a new Brahma. and he has to start completely from scratch. So this is the exalted nature of Brahma. His intelligence, his wisdom, his capability, his power. He is the source of the Vedas as a via medium on behalf of the Supreme Lord. Once he has been initiated, then he speaks the Vedas and creates so many disciplic successions here on earth. So just try to imagine how powerful and intelligent Brahma is. In fact, his body is pure intelligence. His body is not like our body. Even though it is material, but still it is very subtle, very fine. You see, the higher and higher that we go in the material world, to the higher and higher planets, the bodies become more and more subtle. From the earth planets, from planet upwards. Here our bodies are very gross. The earth element is very gross. Water element is very gross. Air element very gross. Everything is very gross here. Of course, the air element is subtler than the water element and the earth element, but still it is gross. But in the higher planets, everything becomes subtler and subtler. The demigods' bodies are not gross like ours, even though they are material bodies. And there is no difficulty in those bodies that we have in our bodies. For example, they don't perspire like us in the same way that we do. So there are many differences. Their bodies are fragrant naturally. We have to take a bath. So imagine what kind of body Brahma has, the creator. He can visualize the entire universe like an amalaki fruit or a walnut that is kept in the palm of his hand. When something is kept in the palm of your hand, you are able to see it so clearly. You can examine it at close quarters. So Brahma is able to visualize and see everything in the universe in this manner. Just imagine. We have a hard time even seeing just a few feet away sometimes. Even in our video calls where technology is advanced, if the connectivity is not good, there is disturbance in the video or in the audio. So there is a great limitation on us to know things that are at a distance, or even if they are too close, we cannot see. But Brahmaji can see from Brahmaloka everything that is going on all over the universe. From the highest planet to the lowest planet, Brahma is aware of every nook and corner of the universe. And he can see it clearly as he can see something in his palm. The reason I'm giving all this introduction about Brahma rather than speaking about Krishna, I will come to Krishna in a minute, is because we will better get to appreciate who Krishna is. And also we will be in a better position to appreciate how tiny we are. So a personality like Brahma is thoroughly bewildered by Krishna in Vrindavan. And that too when Krishna is only 5 years old. Of course, for Krishna it doesn't make a difference whether he's 5 or 10 or 15, he's actually unlimitedly old. But still, he's supremely youthful. Purana Purusham Navayauvanam Cha, as Brahmaji himself said at another time when he spoke the Brahma Samhita. Srila Prabhupada explains in one of the purports that even though Brahmaji is so exalted, still because his body is material, even though it has come from the lotus flower, but that lotus is also material. Therefore, his body being material, he is also subject to the 4 defects that all of us are subjected to. like being under illusion, having imperfect senses and so on. So therefore Brahma, being such a great personality, he can get bewildered by Krishna at the age of 5. But for Krishna it doesn't matter. He can be at any age. He's ever youthful. And whether Krishna is a child or whether he is a Kaishor, he remains equally powerful. It is not that when Krishna was a baby and he killed Putana, he was any less strong because he was a baby than when he was on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. In terms of potency, power, ability, there is no difference between Krishna as a baby and Krishna as a so-called adult. Krishna is of course eternally a Kishore, an adolescent, pre-youth living in Goloka Vrindavan. That is his eternal form. He never grows older than that. When he comes to the material world, then he appears to be born and grow up just like an ordinary child. He goes through the motions of going through the childhood phase, which is called Balya Avastha, Kaumar also. Then he goes into the stage of boyhood, which is called Pauganda. After the age of 5 is complete, the Balyavastha Kaumara stage is over, then the Pauganda age starts at age 6. Then goes on till 10. Then age 10 to 15 is adolescence or pre-youth, the stage just before youth. And from 15, once it is completed, from the 16th year, the Yovana or the youth begins. So Krishna is eternally a youth, or rather a pre-adolescent youth, a Kishore, somewhere in his later part of the Kaishora age. So at all stages, because he is the Supreme Lord, there is no diminishing in his powers and abilities. So therefore, when we say that Krishna was only 5 years old when he bewildered Brahma, we should not get bewildered by that statement. Because whether Krishna is 5 or anything, he remains all powerful. So this is a beautiful pastime, very enchanting pastime. It is not as famous as perhaps the Govardhan Lila or the Rasa Lila, or maybe even the pastime of Krishna in the babyhood, stealing butter, etc. These are the pastimes that are more popular amongst the people in general. But only those who are sincere devotees of the Lord, who study and hear Srimad Bhagavatam, and who like especially the mood of Vrindavan, they will hear of this pastime, the Brahma Vimohana Lila. And the background for this pastime is quite interesting. You see, Kansa used to send many asuras or demons every single day to Vrindavan. And of course the idea was to kill Krishna. It is the asura who would get killed, and in the process he would get delivered because he was killed by Krishna. So one asura came in the guise of a snake, and his name was Aghasura. So this happened when Krishna was 5 years old, and he was still at that part of his Balyavastha. He had not yet touched 6. So this snake came, and we will not discuss that pastime in detail because we are going to discuss the next pastime of Brahma Vimohana Lila. But Krishna very easily killed Aghasura. And all the cowherd boys were blissful seeing Krishna, their dear friend, performing such a beautiful pastime. It's okay? Everyone can hear? So now, what happens is, in the end of the 12th chapter of the 10th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam, Shukadev Goswami explains that when Krishna was 5 years old, he killed Aghasura, and normally every day there was news reporting in the village. When the cowherd boys would return from the day's grazing of the calves, remember, they were not grazing the cows yet. Gopashtami festival had not happened yet. Krishna and the cowherd boys are still grazing the calves, not the cows. When they grow past 5, they touch 6, at that time they grow up, and then they are given a chance to herd the cows. So at this stage of 5, they are still herding the calves. So as they are herding the calves, and they go, they kill, and the cowherd boys used to come back in the evening, and they would very eagerly, enthusiastically explain to their family members and the others in the village about the pastimes or activities that Krishna had done in the forest. Today Krishna, such and such demon came, and he was looking like this, and Krishna killed him in this manner, and then we did these activities and we did that together with Krishna. So the consciousness of the cowherd boys was completely absorbed, immersed in Krishna. It was the perfection of their life to spend the whole day with Krishna. And they would come back and have the entire reporting. And in one place it is explained that there were professional poets who also lived in Vraja. And every day when all these narrations came, or the news report came, evening edition of the newspaper, the poets would start formulating different types of reciting or composing different types of poems and songs about the pastimes that they had heard from these cowherd boys and also from the others. So this time, after Aghasura was killed, these boys did not speak about the killing of Aghasura. And not only that, they did not speak about this killing of Aghasura for 1 complete year. It's not that they forgot because there was something else that was important that happened and then they forgot to mention it. No, it wasn't a delay of 1 day or 2 days. It was a delay of 1 complete year. So naturally, Parikshit Maharaj is a very eager listener, the ideal Shrota or the listener of the Srimad Bhagavatam. The perfect combination of speaker and listener is Shukadev Goswami and Maharaj Parikshit. A fully qualified speaker, Shukadev Goswami, fully realized in Krishna consciousness. And Parikshit Maharaj is exhibiting the ideal characteristics of a person who should hear Krishna Katha. Yesterday in Mambalam, no? Name of the place, Mambalam, we were speaking on the topic of Shravanam, of how to hear. So Maharaj Parikshit is the epitome, the perfection of the perfect listener of the Srimad Bhagavatam. And sometimes what happens is the speaker tests the audience, whether they have actually heard or their mind was wandering or whether they were asleep. So he makes a statement which then makes a question arise in the mind of the audience. So he made a statement like this and continued. What was the statement? That this Leela of killing Aghasura happened at the age of 5 for Krishna, but it was revealed to the residents of Vrindavan after 1 year when Krishna entered the Pauganda age. And then he goes on to describe how Krishna went into the forest, they performed so many pastimes, this, that. And then naturally Parikshit Maharaj now has to ask the question. What is that question? Why the delay? Normally you would not wait for so long. So what is it that was the cause of 1 year's delay? So that is the question or the point at which the 12th chapter of the 10th canto ends. And then the 13th chapter begins. Parikshit Maharaj is very keen to know the answer to this question. And he places himself as a very humble soul. Even though, remember, he was the king of the entire earth. But in front of the spiritual master, he is always very humble. In front of Shukadev Goswami, who also was much younger than him, Shukadev Goswami was only 16 years old when this conversation happened. So he took a very humble position. And Shukadev Goswami became very pleased. Because first of all, Parikshit Maharaj was hearing very attentively. And number two, because he was hearing very attentively, he asked a very pertinent and relevant question. So had Parikshit Maharaj not asked that question, maybe Shukadev Goswami would have skipped and gone on. Maybe he would not. But he knew that Parikshit Maharaj, being an attentive listener, is going to ask that question. So you see, when narration of Krishna's pastimes happens nicely, the devoted listeners feel very happy. And when the speaker, he sees that the listeners are attentive, nobody is sleeping, and everybody is eager to know, and they ask very important, relevant questions. At that time, the speaker also feels delighted. He feels it is worth the while, and also there is so much rasa. So you see, this question-answer exchange is an exchange of devotional rasa between the speaker and the listener. If the speaker is qualified and the listener is qualified, that exchange becomes very sublime. And we see that here from the very beginning of the 13th chapter, where Shukadev Goswami starts off and says, Sadhu Prishtam Mahabhaga Tvaya Bhagavatottama Yan Nutana Yasi Ishasya Shrinman Api Katham Muhuhu. He says, O my dear king, Mahabhaga, the most fortunate one, Tvaya Bhagavata Uttama. Bhagavat means a devotee of Bhagavat, Bhagavan. Uttama means the best. So Shukadev Goswami, the spiritual master, is addressing his disciple as Bhagavata Uttama, that you are most exalted devotee of Krishna, and you are also most fortunate. Sadhu Prishtam. Sadhu means very good. You see, in Vedic culture, when you want to appreciate what somebody has said or done, you say sadhu, sadhu. Nowadays they say so many things, hip hip hooray, many things they may say. But in Vedic culture they say sadhu, sadhu. So he said, Sadhu Prishtam, very good question you have asked, O most fortunate one, O great devotee of the Lord. Yan Nutana Yasi Ishasya Shrinvan Api Katham Muhuhu. Api means although. So Katham Muhuhu, Muhuhu means repeatedly. So although you have been hearing Krishna Katha repeatedly for a long time, for many days, remember we are in 13th chapter of 10th canto, and Parikshit Maharaj has already heard all the 9 cantos plus 12 chapters of the 10th canto. So he has been hearing for a long time, without complaint, without sleep, without fatigue, without thirst, without hunger, without boredom, without distraction. So naturally Shukadev Goswami is extremely pleased. And he is also marveling. Just see the qualities of my disciple, of this great devotee. Api Katham Muhuhu, even though you have been hearing Krishna Katha for so long, still Shrinman Api Katham Muhuhu, Nutana Yasi Ishasya. You are making the topics of Isha, or the Supreme Lord, Ishasya, Nutana Yasi. You are making them as if they are fresh. So it appears that you are perceiving the activities of Lord Krishna to be ever fresh. And indeed, that is the case. The activities of Krishna are always fresh because Krishna is always fresh. He is an ever youthful youth whose beauty, whose qualities never diminish with time and circumstance. So elsewhere also in the Bhagavatam, Krishna Katha has been described as Nitya Navanavayamana, ever fresh. We can go on discussing the same pastimes of Krishna without feeling bored. So Shukadev Goswami is appreciating this quality in Nam ayam sara bhritam nisargo yad arthavani shruta chetasamapi. He says Paramhamsas, that means those who are like supreme swans, they are transcendental swans because they know how to extract the spiritual essence from whatever they hear and see and experience in this world. As we were discussing at the program yesterday, a swan has the legendary capability to extract milk from a mixture of milk and water. So the great saintly persons, those who are very elevated in spiritual consciousness, are also able to have such a high sense of discrimination that so the essence of everything in creation is Krishna and Krishna consciousness. So one who has this consciousness is called Paramahamsa. So, and the aim of their life, Shukadev Goswami says, is only to talk of Krishna's pastimes as if they are newer and newer. And they are as attached to these topics as the materialistic people are to materialistic topics. In this way, Shukadev Goswami then continues and says, Shinusva avahitaha rajan api guhyam vadamite. Shinusva means please hear me. Avahitaha, with great attention, O King Rajan, api guhyam vadamite. Now I am going to tell you something very guhya. Guhya means confidential, something very secret. Bruyuhu snigdhasya shishyasya guruvo guhyam upyuta. And why is this? So now I'm going to tell you something very confidential, Shukadev Goswami says. And because you are snigdha and you are shishya, because you are very submissive